Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic. What's happening, everybody? What's happening, man? Of course, y'all know we're going to wait a few moments, allow a few more of you guys to get up in here, and then we'll shout you guys out. Y'all know how we do. Give me just a second, guys. I hear some double audio playing. There we go. All right, fix that problem. But what's happening? How's everybody doing, man? I hope everybody's good. I hope everybody's all right. I hope everyone is lovely. Another Tuesday night. I'm a little late tonight, man. Blame it on Taco Tuesday. My bad, guys. You know, we had an audible that we had to run late as we were cooking. Well, as my wife was cooking, I was kind of, she had me managing a few things, but, she's the mastermind with that. Had to run to the store to get an extra ingredient and what have you. So Taco Tuesday kicked off a little late. I do apologize for you guys, man. So, either way, I'm going to bring you guys the show, whether I'm running a little late or not. But I'll try not to make a habit of that, okay? We'll try to stick to that 7:30 slot. But what's up, man? I hope everybody's doing good. Let's say what's up to everybody. Let's say hello, and then, I'll definitely let you guys know what we're talking about here tonight. What's going on to Rajon39, Jerry McCrae, Jordan Mid, Kegels Bagel. He says, just going to start things off with a quick fix Madden franchise. Absolutely. Y'all know we're going to keep that going, for you Madden heads. And speaking of which, let me say that real quick as a side note before I read some more names. If you guys are also gamers, man, and if you guys are simulation-minded like myself, what that basically means, I like to replicate the NFL. For you guys that's been following Madden, they really don't give you that option like they used to back in the day. Let's say even all the way back to Madden 06. Or even if you want to go to like Madden 08, where you had that depth. You had training camps and all those type of things and holdouts and, you had that real depth in franchise mode. For you guys who are, into video games now, you would know that stuff isn't there anymore. We made some noise about it as we found out that Madden 21 also wasn't doing much in that area. Made enough noise that we got someone in senior management, someone I actually know personally, spoken to him several times in person, Sean Grady, had to speak out, and we forced them pretty much to put out a roadmap. In my mind, I'm still thinking about my work. I'm talking about training, but we had to put out a roadmap. We forced them, to put out projection roadmap as far as what they're gonna do in Madden 21, which is really not much, but Madden 22, and they've never really done that before. So I say all that to say this: if you guys are into that, continue that movement going, man, because I would love to be able to bring some special things to you guys, the Steelers fans. If Madden could just allow me to replicate it the way I want to replicate it. You guys have no idea the type of ideas I have if the game was up to snuff as far as great gameplay as well as depth and how I would intermingle it. Y'all have no idea, man, but it doesn't allow me to do that. So there you have it. But let's get back to the shout-outs really quick. Hello, Miss Lanisha. How you doing this evening? Still Gunplay. My good brother C. Antoine Hill. King Kevo. Slim Cat. Lee Sharp. Laquan Lighty. JJ Walker. Nicholas Mack. Y. Diggy. Certified Sports. Donovan Hubbard. Joseph Delavicia. What's going on, Joseph? Haven't seen you in a while, man. Hope all is well. Good to see you tonight. Solarverse 6. Drum. Sadell. Who else we got really quick? Some repeat names here. My good brother Kenyon in the building. My father-in-law Leonard. How was those tacos, Leonard? I know you enjoyed them the same way I did. And we'll end it right there. As far as the shout-outs. So, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, you guys know there's not a lot to talk about. Excuse me, guys. Give me a second, man. Let y'all see things in real time here. A little too bright right there. There we go. Had to get the camera and the lighting together, but it was a little too bright for my taste. I don't know. Y'all tell me. Not a lot to talk about, man. And the reason why is because we're kind of in the dark as Steelers fans. I didn't realize that training camp would go this way. And I'm not talking about just the COVID situation. We all know, again, 2020 is pretty much a wash for anything on a massive scale that any of us want to do. It's pretty much a wash. Our NFL season is not going to be any different. We pretty much could guess that training camp wasn't going to happen the way we thought it would, and we could have pretty much guessed that preseason wasn't going to happen the way you would want it to. I get all of that. But what I didn't foresee was, everyone, of course, not wanting to give a competitive edge and not really show much. I didn't realize that was happening, man, until I, poked around and I saw a couple different articles. And again, I'll always give my respect and praise to Steelers Depot, those guys over there, and they kind of mentioned it, and I was like, dang, you're right. It is kind of selective. And then you listen to, guys like Mike Pursuta and Missy Matthews on Steelers.com, and they're saying what they can and can't say. And it's all because no one wants to give, or bend on the competitive edge as far as showing too much. Whereas in preseason, that's kind of the opportunity for most of us to see some stuff, but at the same time, you have more training camp reports. You would have a guy like Alex Kazur from Steelers Depot would be there to give us these accounts. You would have more video footage and things of that nature. You're not getting that. And that's pretty much the same across the league. You have a couple teams that might be showing a little more than others, but the Steelers are being very, 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 very tight with information and or footage. So it makes this training camp, off season was already tough for us, but even now in training camp, we still scrambling for stuff to talk about. And it's probably going to be this way for the next, what we got, about 4 weeks until the first game or something like that. About 4 weeks or so, I think. Could be a little off there, but you guys know what I'm saying. We won't really have any real meat to talk about until the first real show that we'll have is the, we'll have a little more information. Of course, when we get down to the 53-man roster, who made it, who didn't, that'll be interesting. But as far as real information to talk about, it'll be the post-game show of week 1, right? That really sucks, but it is what it is. Excuse me. This entire year has been strange, so I guess we just got to roll with the punches there. So anyway, I'm babbling a little bit, man. Let me get into, let me see. Hold on. Let me see what Jordan Mid said here. Just caught my eye. He says it's unfortunate for Artie Burns, looked solid rookie year, then just fell off and lost confidence big time. Prayers to him, though. Yeah. Did something happen to him as far as, did he sign with another team? I don't remember. And I can't remember what his status is right now. What did y'all say? Let me see. Lanisha says, oh, man, he tore his ACL. Wow. Dang, Kenyon, I ain't even know that, man. And if you send it to me in our group chat, our text, I totally missed it. No question, Builder's Life. I shouted you out last week. Yeah, I know you prefer to have that background music, man, so I have it there for you. And you guys, let me know if the music is too loud, too low, just right. Y'all let me know, because, again, y'all are the viewers. I want to make sure everything is, good for you guys. Call-in number isn't up, by the way. Y'all right. Here it is. Let me get it for you.
2-minute warning.
My bad, guys. I told y'all I'm struggling, trying to rush to get to you guys, and I'm glad. See, y'all my people. We here. Appreciate that, Kegel. But yeah, let me talk about that really quick. And yeah, Kenyon, I'm sure I missed it, man. That's messed up for Artie. I'm gonna be real for a second. I know a lot of times, man, we fall into just being crazy fans, where we don't care about you once you leave, and if we perceived you for not being great while you was with us, to heck with you and all that. I don't do that, man. Listen, these guys are still human beings. Football is a business. And like I said, I never made it to the professional ranks. So just me personally, I've refrained from calling people trash and bums. I used to do it. Y'all remember that. And if somebody is bad enough, it might sneak out again. Hopefully we don't have to go there this year. But I try not to do that because, again, they obviously made it to the NFL. So at some degree or some point, they were better than me. But what I will say in a nice way is you're just not the best at your position. And Artie Burns just won't the best at his position, man. But I hate to see that this kid, man, just couldn't quite get it right with the Steelers. He probably was not a first-round pick. And had he not been a first-round pick, maybe the expectations wouldn't have been so large for him. Maybe he wouldn't have had to be thrown in action when he was. And you know what I mean? Maybe he would have had more opportunity to develop. Or maybe not. Artie just didn't seem to get it. He can't get right. You know what I mean? Had some decent moments at time when you keep him in a comfortable defense, but for the most part, he can't get right. Always peeking in the backfield, man. You know what I mean? But by no means do I wish any ill will on him. Le'Veon, even Antonio Brown, even as crazy as Brown was with us, I still wish these guys the best as a human. So it sucks for Artie, man, towards ACL. And yeah, like I said, to Kenyon, I clearly missed that, man. I might have responded to it. Who knows, Kenyon? I had so much going on this week, but I think I missed that. Sorry to hear that, man. And, prayers to him, and hopefully he can recover and, extend his NFL career. And if not, at the end of the day, you got to look at it, man. Sometimes things don't always go your way, but it was a blessing that you got to make it and play in the National Football League, and you've made $1 million or a few million, at least. He was a first-round pick, so we know he made decent enough money to have more money than probably any of us, right? When we talking about millions, because I ain't got that. I'm going to let you know right now. But there you have it. But anyway, guys, let me check one other thing. See if anybody had any comment on. I don't see it as of now. So y'all let me know, man, if music and things like that, let me know. Should I turn it up a little, turn it down a little? Y'all keep me on track with that. And again, thank you for reminding me, Kago, to get the number on the screen there. But anyway, man, let's get to the topics. I want to talk about a few injuries at training camp, at least the two that I saw. I didn't go back to look to see if there were any more like yesterday, but I just wanted to talk about what was reported today. We'll talk a little bit about UG. God, I'm tongue-tied here, guys. I don't know what's happening. I'm trying to talk too fast. Let me slow down, take a drink of water. That's a life lesson, guys. Sometimes just slow down. Why am I trying to speed through this? Subconsciously, is it because we started a little late? Is that making me speed my words up? I don't know. Take a deep breath and slow down. UG3. We talk about UG3 making a few plays from what we're hearing today. Vance McDonald weighs in on how no crowds can affect the players. I want to definitely comment on that. And Joe Haden giving praise to Chase Claypool. And then also, we're hearing that Ben Roethlisberger is looking good so far. And, of course, the main topic there, man, which I'm going to tie it all together before I open up the calls. Are the Pittsburgh Steelers a Super Bowl contender in 2020? So let's run through these really quick, man, and then I'll hit that main topic, and then I'll see what you guys have to say, and then we'll be out of here. So we do know today there was reported that Kevin Dotson, the rookie that a lot of us are high on, probably not going to be a starter or anything like that this year, but we know the offensive lineman that we drafted later in the draft. I want to say we got him in the fourth, if I remember correctly. I don't think he was the third round pick. I think McFarland was the third round pick, I believe, and then we got Dotson, if I'm not mistaken. I could have that order backwards, but he said he went down with a knee injury. Don't know how significant it is. Mike Tomlin pretty much said he doesn't expect any of it to be significant. As well as Dax Raymond, the tight end. I don't know anything about Dax Raymond. I didn't know anything about him at his prior team. But, he's pretty much a guy there that's probably fighting for depth. You would imagine that it would still be Vince and Eric Ebron and probably, what's the tall kid, man? I'm forgetting his name already. Y'all know who we drafted from Michigan. Why am I forgetting the dude's name? Y'all know who I'm talking about, man. The super tall tight end. They're probably going to be your number 3. Gentry. Zach Gentry. So I don't know if, is Raymond going to make it? I have no idea. So I don't want to say it like these guys are not important. Dotson, to me, a little more important than Raymond. But, those injuries are really not going to be anything significant as we're seeing around the league. Look. Guys like Artie Burns was probably going to get an opportunity to play and be a contributor at the Bears. Now he's out. Guys like Trey Waynes, who we were going to face twice a year in Cincinnati, he's out. Javon Hargrave, said he's out for several weeks. So you're already seeing that some guys are going down, man, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And hopefully that doesn't plague us. Also, Steelers are still doing their thing where they're offering, some of the veterans on and off, and the messed up part is we're not able to see, or we're not being told who's playing in these positions in their absence. So we don't even know where guys are, measuring up on the depth chart. It is what it is. We also heard that Ola Adeni, or Denier, I still haven't gotten that pronunciation, correct. Mike Tomlin is saying he came in with great conditioning. Now, the reason why I'm pausing a little bit as I say that to you guys is, y'all know the Steelers, they have a way of going with the depth that they know. So it makes me wonder, is Ola ahead of a guy like Highsmith? Traditionally you would say yes, but I think Highsmith is definitely going to be that third rotational piece. I think he's going to beat out Ola for being the first guy off of the bench when, TJ or Bud needs to be spelled. But, it's just, you got to read the tea leaves. A lot of times when Tomlin is talking about a guy, there's something there. Either they're leaning heavy on him, or they're leaning heavy on this guy, getting more playing time, or he's going to be a part of the rotation. It's always something, because Tomlin doesn't say much. So when he says anything, even if he's just praising conditioning, there's always something behind that. So without having the reports, it makes me wonder, what else is behind that statement. Let's see, what else can we talk about here? James Washington, I think, is out. I don't know if it is due to injury. I did hear something like that. I don't know if it was something minor, but I know, I could be wrong there, but I think I heard somebody say James Washington didn't participate in some of the sessions. Keep an eye on that. I don't think any of this stuff would be significant, whatever it is. I think some of these guys are missing, personal time. But the good thing is we're not hearing any major, situations with any of the key players. We haven't heard anything about key players on defense, which is good. And that's going to come back full circle by the end of the show here when I talk about the Super Bowl. We did hear that UG3 making some plays. He had an interview himself via Zoom, and he talked about, an interception that he got going up against McFarland. I heard that McFarland and Highsmith, got some really, really good playing time, or decent playing time, or snaps, whatever you want to call it, and backs on backers. But again, what we're not hearing are the statistics that we're accustomed to hearing. Who won, who lost, 7 on 7, the 7 shots and all of that. We're not hearing any information there. So again, it's hard for me to get excited about anything. But again, like I said, when you hear somebody's name and the fact that, they're referencing Highsmith and McFarland, that is definitely good. One thing that Alex Kazor said is McFarland was, being worked out and back and on backers, which typically would showcase that he is going to be utilized as a back. So, the comparison that he gave is it's not like a Chris Rainey situation or a Dree Archer, where they didn't really participate in that. A lot of times they would go work out with the receivers or what have you, because they weren't being used as traditional running backs. So it is good to see that McFarland is not being treated that way. I didn't expect that coming in. But again, any type of confirmation is always good. So UG3, let's talk about him really quick, man. I'm looking for him to have, some very, very, great opportunities to contribute. I don't know yet how the Steelers are gonna, how we're gonna promote, not promote. Well, I guess you would say promote. I don't know who we're going to promote to be the dime backer or be in more of the dime situations, because a lot of times when we went sub and when we went dime and we had like another linebacker out there, or one, because there was times that Bush wasn't on the field, it was Mark Barron. Mark Barron took on a lot of those duties. So I'm wondering who's going to take that over this year. Will it be Vince Williams? Which, no disrespect, y'all know I love Vinny, because like my boy Tony would be saying, Vinny be out there bussing. He knocks people's heads off. He's great with the blitz up the middle from the middle linebacker position. Good against the run. I don't like Vince out there in pass coverage too tough, man, especially when he got to go down the field. That just ain't his strong suit. And you know I'm loyal to him, man. I mean, listen, he's a no. Y'all know I'm a nose fan. But if he ain't got to be out there, I'd rather him not be out there. So it makes me wonder, are we going to try to do something creative, with the safeties? Will a guy like Antoine Brooks Jr., be somebody that we might lean on? Or more than likely, I would say, we might see more opportunities when we're in sub and you got the two inside linebackers there. It would be Bush, along with UG3. One of UG3's strong suits, even in college, was his pass coverage. We've seen him outside, lined up against the slot, and did fairly well. Now, I know some people are going to say, smaller school, we got to see him against better competition. I get all that, but the fact that he showed those skills is all that's important. So I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities this year, man. I really do. It could be at some point in the season that it's him and Bush that are out there pretty much manning those positions. We're going to be in sub package way more than we're going to be in base. So let's keep an eye on that. So it's good to hear, man, that he's coming along. I heard that Vance McDonald, I'm about to talk about Vance here, but I heard they said Vance McDonald basically wrestled the ball away from Terrell Edmunds. I'm going to take a sip of water and let y'all ponder on that. Terrell Edmunds. Yeah, man, I know. No ball skills, man. And we already talked. I want to say that was last week we talked about it. When Terrell Austin was saying that they're going to have to improve, his ball skills or playmaking ability. So it seems they know the same way we do. Edmunds is never going to be Troy. I mean, he might not even be anything relatively close to it, ever. He might not ever be the great ball skill guy. But what he might be, let me tell y'all what he might be, and this just came to me. I don't know if this is a good or bad thing. What I'm about to say might tick some of you guys off, and I might wait a second to see y'all reply in the chat before I continue. Edmunds, to me, might end up being, his ceiling might end up being what we saw out of Sean Davis at free safety. Follow me what I'm saying. Sean Davis was at his best at free safety, in my opinion. I don't think he was ever the greatest strong safety. I think he got exposed more at strong safety. But he started to come around a bit at free safety. Made a couple plays here and there. Became a better tackler. Seems like he was able to see the field better. Now, I'm not comparing these two guys because obviously Edmunds is not going to be a free. We already know that. But what I'm saying is, in comparison, maybe Terrell Edmunds will just be a decent safety. Not going to give you much as far as ball skill. Going to have some good tackles here and there. Will be sound tackles. He'll be able to play around the box. He might get a PBU or two. Yeah, and I said only two. But he's just not going to be that playmaker, that ball hawk, anything like that in coverage. And that might be what we have to deal with, at least until we move on from him, if we decide to move on. And I've come to that realization. I think he could get a little better, so we might see a better Terrell Edmunds this season. But I'm not, from what I'm seeing out of him, I don't think he's ever going to be that safety that we're talking about, a lot. But again, it's not fair for me to act like that's going to happen. We already got the beast back there. And like I've said, guys, several times, it's rare that you're going to get two guys like that as safeties. It's rare that you have a safety tandem that you talking about weekly. So I know we're tough on him, but you got to understand, man, it's rare. And think about it. Before, Troy he changed everybody's mind as far as what we expect out of a strong safety, but you just can't do that. You just can't do that. So that's what I mean when I say he might be the Sean Davis free safety version at his strong safety spot, meaning his level of increase from where he was last year to this year could be what we saw from Davis jumping to free safety. Played better. Still wasn't the greatest, but he played better. That's what I'm hoping out of Terrell Edmunds, and I will let him surprise me. Maybe he'll be better than that. But speaking of that, man, let me actually go to it here. Give me a second, guys. Let me find it, because there's some more information that I want to talk about the safeties that I saw earlier today. I meant to put it here in my information, but when it's live, you can look right. I can look while y'all watch me look. That's the beautiful thing about it. That's the beauty of it. So it looks like the Steelers are, where is it? Who did they pick up, man? They picked up a couple guys, brought them in for tryouts. Hold on, I'm going to find it. But basically what I'm talking about as I'm looking for it is, here's another safety that they brought in. Now, again, I don't know much about the kid that they brought in, but the fact that they brought in somebody else, to try out, I'm going to find it for you. Give me a second. I'll read the names to you for you guys that don't know these kids the same way I don't. Wow, man, where did I see it at? Can't find it. So for anybody else here in the chat that knows who they were, if y'all want to put the names out there, but either way, it's another safety. I'm still looking for it. I just saw it earlier today too. Here we go. I think here it is. Okay, so the Steelers brought in wide receiver DeAndrew White, safety Rashawn Golden, linebacker Jermaine Grace, and wide receiver Ray McLeod. And there was another receiver that they brought in, I believe, too, as well today or yesterday. Now, when I look at these guys that they're bringing in, man, the receiver part, I think is pretty much a done deal. I think at this point they're looking to get depth at practice squad. Like I told you guys, man, I think the top 5 are probably set. We'll see if the Steelers keep 6 or not. But like I said, I hate to say it, some of you guys don't want to hear this, but I think Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Switzer is probably going to be on the roster, man. I'm just saying, I saw one of you guys say he's looking all jacked up now. I've seen a couple pictures. He said he wants to be one of the best slots in the league. I'm just saying, take it for what you want. He's probably going to make it, because again, let's go through it. Juju, James Washington, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and at 5, it's probably going to be Switzer. Because even if you want one of those other guys like Blacknall or Darbo, whoever's the other guy that you would like to get a chance, what's that guy? Kane. I would like to see Kane stay on the roster because I think he could bring something. I don't think he makes it over Switzer the way that the Steelers think. So maybe we keep 6. If we keep 6, it's probably going to be Kane and Switzer. But you better believe if the Steelers are only going to minimize that position to 5 that they keep on the active roster, Ryan Switzer will be number 5. You can take that to the bank. Let's get back to what I was saying about the safeties, man. It's interesting that they keep trying to do some things with safety. Remember the Riley kid that they brought in a couple weeks ago? That's that can play safety more deep. Deep ball is more his skill, but it makes me think that they're still trying to find depth there, even though we drafted Brooks Jr. So that's why I say I don't know. I don't know what their plans are, man, when it comes to sub package. Are we gonna do like last year and play 3 safeties, or are we gonna rely more on, getting a guy like UG3 on the field that can cover as well? So that's gonna be interesting, man. Keep your eyes on that. It's gonna be very, very, very interesting. So moving right along, guys, I'm going a little slow here, man. I want to get to the phone calls if we have any. Let's talk about what Vance McDonald said, man, about the crowd noise, and I thought it was an interesting take. So he was asked, how will players react, from a player standpoint with the COVID situation and, potentially not having any fans at all in some of the stadiums. Some teams and states are handling things differently. Some teams have already come out and said that they're not going to have any fans. Some teams are only going to, sell a certain amount of seats and things like that. I think the Cowboys has weighed in saying that they will have fans, but for the most part, even those who said fans will be there, it would be a very limited amount. I saw one team, it might have been the Chiefs, but if somebody like that, that said that they're thinking they're only going to have about 22% of the fans. And, not 100% sure what the Steelers are going to do yet. I haven't checked that. I know earlier, remember we heard early on, the Steelers was already talking about only, selling like half of the capacity of the stadium. And I don't know if they've reduced that or what have you. But anyway, Vance McDonald had an interesting response. He said basically, to summarize it, some players, they thrive off of the crowd noise and they get pumped and jacked up off of things that happen during the game and they feed off that energy. And he said for other players, it's a distraction. And he said about himself, the big crowds and all that is more of a distraction for him. He said, he personally focuses more when it's just him and his assignment. And he said that, speaking of others, it will force everybody to focus on what they're doing. Like, you literally will be focused on your assignment. There's nothing else that's going on, no crowd noise or nothing like that. It's going to force you automatically, just by default, to focus on your individual assignment. And he was like, whatever teams can do that should be successful. And I thought that was interesting, because you would think a lot of players would say, man, I love the crowd. I love to feed off of that, this, that, and the third. But, it was interesting to hear him say that he personally feels it as a distraction. And he did say, not to say that he can't, get hype and things like that, but he prefers it to just be about his business. I was like, okay, that's an interesting take. So it made me think, I think some players will prefer that. You will be able to listen and hear of more of what's happening, and it's gonna, you're gonna really have to focus on what you're doing, because the spotlight is gonna be on even more. The next thing we'll weigh in on, Joe Haden gives some praise to Chase Claypool. So again, like I said, we're not getting a lot of information about what these guys are doing. However, Joe Haden comes out and says, he's really impressed by some of the things that Claypool is doing early, and, some of the potential that he has at his height and size and things like that. It was reported that he had a very good catch over Haden in practice. So, it's good, again, to hear veteran guys talk about the opposite, guy on the opposite side of the ball, if you will. Some of it could be lip service, because, you're not really going to hear a veteran talk bad about a player, but sometimes you can tell if they're really impressed or not, because, sometimes you get those guys that will say, well, I think he's going to have to work on this, that, and third, but if he can get that, nah, he's coming out with already giving them praise. And he said the same thing about Deontay Johnson. There were things about him that he said last year that he liked, and we saw it show up in game. And the last thing, man, really quick, Big Ben, they're telling us that he's looking good so far. Mike Tomlin has even gone as far as saying that he's liked the spiral. The spiral has looked tighter. We saw a couple videos. I don't know if you guys have, but if you rummage through the trash, if you will, as far as on the internet, you'll be able to find some footage here and there of Ben throwing the football. Looks good, and to me, it's not really about judging what he's doing right now in a practice setting. It's more so judging how the ball looks, and I know you can't always tell this, because some guys that are good quarterbacks don't always have the tightest spiral. But you can tell from the way the ball seems to be moving, velocity and things like that, it doesn't look like Ben is having any type of struggles. And that's very good to hear. And also, Vance McDonald said, man, the kind of burn that Ben has in his belly right now, the desire to want to win another championship, he was saying he hadn't really seen that hunger as much. And he was saying not that he didn't want it before, but of course he was basically weighing it on the odds that Ben Roethlisberger will have put on him now with missing the year, and the strange offseason that we're having, and him being older and things like that. That drive is so much more intense. So it's going to be interesting, man. But let me get to the final topic, man. Let me see what we got in the phone queue. We do have one call right now, so I could take a little bit of time, but I won't take too much of you guys' time. But the reason why I said, are the Pittsburgh Steelers a Super Bowl contender? This is where I'm coming from. It's hard for me to assess it right now, because I don't know what team we have. We don't know much. It's going to be a guessing game for all of us, until we start to see some of this stuff in action. But I'm just going to go off of theory right here. And again, I'm not trying to be a homer or anything like that. I always try to look at, my beloved Steelers from an objective standpoint and not get caught up in my fanism. Though I still don't believe in the 13-3s and the 12-4s that I'm seeing out there, there's multiple reasons why I don't believe that. I mean, there's a lot of things I could go into, but I'll be brief with it really quick here. You look at the schedule, you look at the conditions as far as what all of the teams are going through. You look at having to regain chemistry and things like that. You look at shaking off the rust. I just don't see it. I don't see a 12-4, 13-3. I definitely don't see a 14-2. I don't see it. I definitely don't see number one seed in the AFC. I don't see it. I'm sorry. However, what I do see is a Steelers team that could be resilient. I do see a Steelers team that might have the opportunity at 11-5 get in the playoffs. Heck, 10-6 get in the playoffs, especially how the playoffs are going to be a little different this year with more teams being able to get into the dance. I see that, and I see a Steelers team that might be able to hit a stride late, right? We think back to the run we had that time when we had to win, 6 straight games to win the Super Bowl. Started off a little rocky that year, but then we picked it up. I can foresee that happening, but here's the reason why I say you might have to consider us a Super Bowl contender. Again, I'm stepping away from my fanism here. If Ben Roethlisberger is 80% what he was, regardless of the year, if some people don't believe he was that great in 2018, I don't know why y'all say that, but some people don't think he was. Some people think he was better early in his career. Some people think he's not that good anymore. Okay. However you view Ben Roethlisberger, if we get an 80 or 85% of Ben Roethlisberger as far as what he's capable of doing, that is by far better than what Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges was able to do last year. Is it hard for you to look at, let's say, 4 of those games last year, right? I'm gonna be very, very basic here, just to see, very basic, just so you guys can see what I'm thinking. Let's take 4 games last year that we thought were close. Do you think the Steelers would have won at least 2 of those? 2 out of 4 with Ben Roethlisberger at the helm? If your answer is yes, we go to the playoffs, right? We in the playoffs. With the defense that we had last year, do you think we were capable of playing against any team in the AFC? Were we able to compete with any team in the AFC defensively? If your answer is yes, that shows you right there that the Steelers could have probably got out of the first round last year. We don't know for sure, but probably. Now, I will say this. A team like Tennessee would have gave us some trouble because even though we had a great defense, there were some games, there were some plays here and there that we got basically exposed against the run game. There was still some gaping holes that happened from time to time. So a team like Tennessee, man, it gave us an issue. Even though we played the Ravens pretty well when we faced Lamar, it's not to say it would have went the same way the second time around or in the playoffs. So I'm not going to sit here and say, the Steelers would have won the Super Bowl last year. No, I'm not going to say that. But what I am saying is if you can look at that, even though the schedule is going to be different, you're never playing the same schedule, so it's hard to compare the same wins to losses, et cetera, et cetera. But with that defense, if that defense is as consistent as they were last year, and Ben Roethlisberger is able to win 2, maybe 3 more games than we won last year, we right there. Now, I know it sounds like wishful thinking because, again, I'm the main one saying I'm not going to get my hopes up and all of that because, listen, I'm not believing the hype like that. But when you sit back and think about it, as much as I've sat here and said, man, we are 9-7 team and all of that, if you really think about it, if our offense starts to click, Because let's go through who we got now. We got playmakers. We got Ben Roethlisberger, who's going to run the ship, right? He's going to be the captain. If James Conner can be healthy 70% of the season, if not him, Benny Snell showed improvement. I'm not going to bank on Benny Snell because we haven't seen him a long, extensive amount of time, but he can move the chains. Anthony McFarland. We have a home run hitter in the backfield. That's going to be interesting. At any given time, this dude could take one. He could bust a 40, 50, 60-yarder. Let's look at the wide receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster, I think, will come back to some type of form of what he once was. To what degree, I don't know. Because when we saw him at his best, Antonio Brown was opposite him. And come on. How you not going to eat when AB getting all the coverage? But Juju is a very capable player. Deontay Johnson, you would assume, will be better than he was last year. You hope. James Washington has the potential to continue to trend up. Chase Claypool, if we don't do nothing more than just let him fly down the seam or on the outside the numbers. Eric Ebron, speaking of the seam, let him run down the seam and work the middle. Vance McDonald, lurking in the middle. You know Ben Roethlisberger is going to go to him. We have enough firepower on offense to be very respectable. And if our defense can maintain what they maintained last year, we right there. Honestly, personally, y'all ready for me to piss you off? I don't know if we beat the Chiefs. Got to keep it real. I don't know if we beat the Ravens. Not just yet. I'm not sure about that. Can we? Perhaps. But I'm not sure. Because remember, even when Ben was doing his thing in 2018, there was still times where we was like, oh, come on. You know what I'm saying? There's still going to be those moments, too, where we leave something on the field. But if you look into AFC and you compare apples to apples, you have to take into account our defense and what we could potentially have on offense. Yeah, I'll say it. They have the potential to be a Super Bowl contender. Do I believe it in my heart? We'll see. Because I don't know if we make it all the way to the Super Bowl and win it. I'm not sure about that yet. But being a contender, meaning that we'll get in the playoffs and could perhaps get out of the first round, I think that's very possible. And once you're in the race, anything's possible. It only takes one game. So that's my take, man. That's my educated, guess and my educated take. Just looking at what we know our defense can be and what they were last year. We didn't really lose much. And what our offense should be able to be at the very worst, we're going to be 10, 20, 30% better than we was last year offensively. That alone wins us more football games. So we'll see. We shall see. But all right, guys, let's get to the phone queue, man. We got 2 in the queue. And you guys are definitely routine callers, so y'all know the routine. I ain't even got to tell y'all that. Let me go ahead and get them. Hopefully they're able to hear me in Blog Talk. It's worked for us here lately, so hopefully the trend continues. And I just remembered, let me unmute the browser so you guys can hear them. See, I remembered this time. I'm getting a little better. But all right, let's bring area code 803 on. What's going on tonight, man?
Good evening. How's everything going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Well, good. Well, tonight, it's going to be Super Bowl contenders, and as always, I'm going to be hard on our offensive line.
Yeah.
Big Ben did not end back there this year. Hold the ball for 6 or 7 seconds. I would love to see the new Ben with a quick release offense. Mike Tomlin has to stop being stubborn on trying to run one running back to death. James Conner has not proven that he can be the one running back bell cow. It looks like Tarzan. He plays like James sometimes.
Yeah.
So I would like to see a mixture of running back. I do feel our red zone efficiency this year will be up, maybe in the top 5. far as Terrell Edmunds, I believe we have to play to his strength. He's not a coverage safety. He needs to be. I think he needs to play down in the box as a safety or some type of hybrid position. I would love to see one of these other guys, like I forgot number 20's name, but I would love to see him in certain defenses. He and Mega in coverage back there. I think that would just be dangerous if he can. That would prove that he can be counted on in that position. And other than that, we've been so blessed in having tandem safeties over the years, from Shell to Wagner, from Thomas Everett, Lethon Flowers, Cornell Lake, of Detroit Palomalu, and I forgot the young man that went to the Tennessee Titans. But thank you so much, and have a great night.
Man, thank you so much, man. Great call, as always, man, and a lot of information there, and he did it rather quickly. So, like I said, each and every week I say this, but I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to stick to making myself go quickly as well with the responses, but I want to hit each one of them. Yes, let's see a quick pass offense. Let's see, and with that, you would expect some misdirection and motion and things like, oh, man, I hope Canada is definitely going to be collaborating with Fichtner. Tomlin said he loves the fact that his coordinators are open to that. So I hope they're giving us a peek. And we've seen that before from Ben. Might even have been in 2018. One of them seasons, y'all remember when it was more, he was dinking and dunking here and there, and he would take a shot every now and then. Yeah, let's get a little more of that happening. I would like to mix the backs as well. Listen, man, the day of the bell cow doesn't have to be, forced to happen. We can mix it up. We saw teams that, I want to say the Eagles, when they won the Super Bowl, it wasn't really a main guy. They just had capable backs, right? Red zone efficiency, I think you're absolutely right. That will improve with Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, even if it's Roethlisberger doing something crazy, like taking a play that we all got tired of seeing. Remember down in Jacksonville a couple of years ago, and he had to keep it and he dove in there. Even if it's something silly like that, we think Ben will get in the end zone more than Duck and what's his name, Mason Rudolph. Yes, let's play to the strengths of Terrell Edmunds. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you there more. And it's funny because none of us are coaches or anything like that, but if Austin is basically saying that, yeah, we got to work on his ball skills, they're basically acknowledging the same thing that we're all saying. He's not that great in coverage. So let's utilize him where he's best suited, even though I will be fair and say we don't know the plan. But come on, man. Let's do that a little more. And Sutton is who you're referring to. They said that he's safety capable as well. They tried him out with that in training camp. And they like bringing him in pass coverage situations anyway. He played a lot of dime last year. So, yeah, throw something, mix that up. Let Sutton play deep and let, Edmunds play his position closer to the line of scrimmage. So, I agree. So, yeah, great call, man. Great information. So, let's move on to the next call. Area code 651. What you got for us tonight?
What's up, Tim? How you doing?
Good, man. What's going on tonight?
Not much, man. I want to speak on that, on our chances at the Super Bowl. And a few weeks ago in the chat, I said that we got just as good a chance as anybody else. You look at Kansas City, defense is very suspect. They've had to come from behind in most of the playoff games they had this year. So you can get on them. You just got to stay on them. And I really thought Tennessee would have had a good chance at that, but it's not really about them. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson shows when it's crunch time, he can't get the job done throwing that ball. Once you stop him from running, it's real hard for him after that. So I'm not saying that he can't get around it, but everybody else that people are putting at the top is just as leaky. We got a real good defense. I'm not going to even explain or go through all the offensive weapons we got now. You just went through that. But dare I say, if Ben can go back to that Todd Haley set that we had, everybody hated the dink and dunk until Ben started recognizing men getting wide open down the field. They hated it. But then when Ben got a hold of the offense and realized, oh, I can go deep sometimes, it was on. So imagine what we got now, along with the misdirection. So I just want to say we got a really good chance with that. Also, I kind of feel bad for Dawson. I feel like hopefully it's not what they think it might be, but man, that kid is aggressive. I think he's ready to get out there and do something. I'm not saying they're going to give it to him right out the gate because of, no experience, but I can see him taking somebody's job throughout the season. And with that said, I'm kind of wondering how that affects the second-year players this year. Because if you remember, the last 2 years, it's always a rookie who stays behind in Pittsburgh for the offseason. He stays around the facility, and they come out in shape. They're better off. They always have a big year that second year, but with us not having an offseason, I wonder how that affected people like Benny Snell and others that might have done that. And then as far as Terrell Edmunds, I thought about something the other day, and I really hope it ain't this. But as much as I love Ike Taylor, he had this syndrome, man, where he was one of the best corners in the league before the ball was thrown. Once that ball got close, it's like he panicked or something. And Terrell Edmunds, if you really look at it, he's in position a lot of times. It's just when that ball gets there, it's like he just loses it. Like I don't know. I think he panicked, and I think it's something that maybe can be fixed. I don't know if it's like a hit, like a batter or what, but I hope it's not the Ike Taylor syndrome. Much as I love Ike, but that's all I got tonight, man. Thanks.
Man, good call like always, man. See, once again, man, 803 and 651 coming through with them great topics, great insight, and quick. See, those guys set the tone, man. So I will answer that, reply to that. Nothing really to answer to, but I reply to it rather quick as well. You all right. You know what? I can't disagree with you there when you talk about KC and the Ravens. Right now the Ravens, I would say they have a better chance defensively, but it's not like you can't play with them. Like you said, if we can limit Lamar Jackson, if there's a way that we can clamp down the run and force him to be a passer only, you got a shot. Now, that's no shot at him, not saying that they couldn't still win, but all you're looking for is a shot. And I will agree with that. Kansas City, you're absolutely right. Their defense has been suspect. They played a little bit better, as they got into the playoffs, but then we saw what happened even in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, Kansas City can be had as well. It's just that they have that quick strike offense, man. You got to be very careful with that. But you know what? You're absolutely right. I gotta go back on my own words that I probably have been spewing the last couple weeks saying, man, there's no chance. But there is. And all of this is hypothetical, but when you look at the hypothetical, we're in a great position. Great defense that you would expect to be better this year or be solid. Even if they just stuck to what they were last year, we'll take that. You got to hypothetically say that Ben Roethlisberger is going to improve the offense. Veteran quarterback, hungry. We do have just as good of a shot as anyone else. I have to concede and say that. So I'm glad you brought that up. And yes, you were right about that as well, Todd Haley. When Todd Haley was there, we was getting the ball out quick releases. And yeah, doing that now with the weapons that we got, and some people might not see these guys as great weapons, but these are great in space type guys. You know what I'm saying? A guy like Johnson, and definitely a guy like McFarland. Imagine what you could do lining him up in the backfield, or lining him up at the line of scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could create some real mismatches in there, quick throws. We got some weapons, man, and if we could run a quick pass offense like that, including guys like Ebron and Vance McDonald, let's do some of that, because the shots are going to come. The shots are going to come when you're doing a quick game and you're doing, running the football, play action will come. Think about it. Tom Brady been doing that for years. Timing route, quick, play action. Boom, they bomb you for 70 yards. So there you have it, man. And we talk about misdirection and trickery. They didn't really run as much, traditional motion, but every now and then they would throw some trickery in there. See, we could definitely do that. And yeah, great point that you made about Benny Snell, man, and the second-year players, because yeah, you're right. If we stick right there, even with the running back position, usually in year two, these guys come back in, in the camp in shape. They've had their year under their belt. It looked like Benny Snell, looks to be a little more, cut, if you will, but we won't know for sure until we really get to see these guys. But great point. How has that affected guys with not really being able to have that one-on-one, connection. And I know some guys have been working out together, but it hasn't been the same way that it normally would be. So hopefully it doesn't have a huge, tremendous effect. And the last thing, what a comparison, man. The Ike Taylor comparison was right on the money. Like, because you are absolutely right. And we don't have to look no further than that game last year. Remember the one when Terrell Edmunds jumps just a bit early and the ball goes right over his head? Could have easily got an interception in that game. Could have stopped them from scoring right there, and he just jumps way too early. So like you said, there are times, man, and I've defended Edmunds saying, yo, he's right there. You know, it's not a whole lot of times that he just got completely fooled or he was completely nowhere to be found. A lot of times he is in position, but when the ball gets there or as the ball is approaching, he turns into somebody else. So agree with you there, but let's hope not. Let's hope he can be something, man, because I'm going to be honest with y'all, man. As a fan, man, I'm tired of having to rely on the draft so much to look for the next guy. I would like to get back to a point where the draft is a compliment. You know, where it's not so much, man, we need a safety. Man, we need an edge. Man, we need this. You know, I want to have a few years, 3-4 years, solid years where we're just adding pieces rather than plugging holes. I want to get to that point. But great stuff, man. We'll spend the last 4 minutes or so here, man, in the chat, see what you guys got. Let's start off with Robert Washington. He says, in 2019, everybody and their mama was rush blitzing the Steelers. Yeah, right. See, and Ben is going to help with that. He's definitely going to help with that. Rajon39 says, Samuel had a good game against the Pats. I'll give you that. But what has he done lately besides the run that Wildcat? Good question. Good question. Very good question. Jordan Mid says, I remember the good old days of Le'Veon Bell, 24 attempts, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, man, y'all remember that game against Tennessee, 206 yards. Woo! When you heard the linebackers like literally say, it's the same play. They just couldn't stop it. We were just running counter. Oh my God, it was a thing of beauty. Thing of beauty. And side note, man, that's why, you know, even with Madden, it gets tricky because, you know, a lot of times people will say, stop running the same play because that's not simulation. Well, in reality, it actually is. Teams do it all the time. The problem is Madden doesn't have a good way to replicate. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a great way of replicating what happens when you do that. Or is it literally a skill thing where these players are better than those players and they can't stop it? Or is it more bad programming and bad AI? Most of the time it's the latter. But yeah, I would love to be able to be in a situation where I'm just running the same play like we did with Le'Veon Bell in that game. My opponent can't stop it, but it's not because of anything cheesy. It's literally because my guys are better than their guys. You know, that's just my crazy brain. Certified Sports says, one of the reasons why the run game was so bad last year is because the passing game was god-awful, so the opposing defense didn't fear the pass. True facts right there. Why Diggy says, how good is McFarland out of the backfield? He could be huge in 3rd and 5. Not 100% sure, man. I want to go back and look at some of those things because, you know, a lot of the times I was just focusing on him as a runner because I was enamored with his speed. But, excuse me. Well, I did see a play, you know, that he, you know, got a touchdown, quick swing pass out of the backfield. So I know he's decent there. I just couldn't give a real assessment on it because I didn't see a lot of that. Because, you know, I got caught up with watching. I watched like 3 full games, and after that I was watching highlights. So I would need to watch a decent amount, maybe a season worth of his tape to see, you know, how well he is or isn't out of the backfield. Let's see. Let's read somebody else. C. Antoine Hill says, I feel you, Sim. Like I said, we are horrible in the first with the exception of LBs. Yeah, man. Yep. We are. So I'm tired of having to try to replace people via the draft. I mean, of course, everybody does it, but y'all know what I'm saying. You have that run when your team is pretty much set for 3 years or so, and you're just adding pieces. That's what I want to get back to. It seemed like the last 7 drafts we've been drafting for a hole and, filling a hole in the actual starting lineup. Think about that. Devin Bush started, folks. Ryan Shazier started. Artie Burns, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he start? Did he start? Or he started very soon after that? Terrell Edmunds started. You see what I'm saying? I'm tired of that. I'm gonna read a couple more. Amy, is that Amy? No, Army. Army Ross says McFarland can run in between the tackles. He's not just a scat back. He played on an ankle sprain the whole season last year. Yes, he did. Kenya says best ability is availability. That will never get old. You're absolutely right. Whoa, this is a long name. He says, King who knows everything, just word. He says, last season Steelers should have won against the Ravens, San Francisco. That might turn the whole season around. Yeah, we could have won the San Francisco game. You would think that we probably should have won the Ravens game. A fumble happened. That's hard to say should have and would have when that happens. But you would like to say that had we not fumbled, looked like we had a little bit of rhythm going, we probably would have gotten to field goal range at the very least, and maybe we win that. Because remember, we stopped the Ravens. We stopped them when they got the ball first in OT. We got everything we needed, man. I mean, anything that we could have asked for, we got and was driving. But sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles. Yeah, Kenyon, that's what I was afraid of, man. McFarland didn't show a lot of pass protection, and y'all know that's going to be key in our offense. So his snaps could very well be limited in that capacity. All right, a couple more, man. Bruce Lee says, we always win the Super with a great defense, a strong running game. Let's get back to that. Hey, I'm not complaining with that. I don't need Ben Roethlisberger throwing for 5,000. I'm cool with him throwing for a cool 3,000, cool 2,600. A cool 2,700, 20 touchdowns. Average, average for NFL quarterbacks. I'll take that. If we, collectively have rushed for about 1,500 yards, yeah, I'm cool with that. King Kevo says, Sim, where do you rank TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, and Minka should rank for their performance this year? Man, that's hard for me to say in terms of numbers, where I rank each guy. I will say I think that TJ Watt is a top 5 pass rusher in the league going into this season. Not top 10, top 5. That's not me being a homer. I could probably say the same for Cam Hayward. Could probably say the same for Cam Hayward, man. Top 5. If you want to slide him down to top 10. Minka, easy. Well, you know what? It's crazy that I'm saying this, but I would say top 5 in all those positions for those 3 guys, to be honest. Cam Hayward, maybe you want to slide him back because his season last year wasn't as impactful as it was the year before. Remember, he had the double-digit sacks the year before. So if you want to slide Cam down, but I think Cam's motor and what he brings each and every down, he's definitely one of the tops at his position. But I would put Minka and TJ Watt in the top 5 at their respective positions. And that's not me being a homer. That's just me, being a homer in the fact that I've watched every game and I watch how they compare to other guys. I don't think a lot of people could argue that. If you want to say there's a safety or 2 that you would prefer over Minka, okay, I'll give you that. But I think he was clearly a top 5 safety last year. So, just my opinion. Let's see. Give me one more, guys, and then we'll get out of here. Yeah, that's true, Kenya. That is the only way. But you know what I'm saying, though. I would like to get to a point, man, where we're adding pieces. Some teams have been able to have the luxury of adding a couple pieces, for a couple years. And then, of course, they lose people and then they have to go back to the draft. But I feel like every year our first-round pick has been a guy that we need or even the second round pick has been a guy that we need. You know, it's maybe not so much with Claypool. Maybe that wasn't a super need, but in a way it was, because you probably still need you need to be 4 deep at receiver. But at least those prior years, man, we were struggling. All right, so the last one I'll read here, man, is Certified Sports. He says, could go a jumbo set and still have multiple people to pass to. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a lot of 12 personnel, man. I want to see 2 tight ends out there. I know they're going to have to work with Ebron's, ability to block and things of that nature, but I want to see a lot of that, man. I want to see that. Remember, man, I hate to give these guys credit, and, God bless the dead, but remember when New England used to run Gronk and Hernandez? Lord have mercy. Do y'all remember that? Like, let's take our Steeler fanism out for a minute. Do y'all remember them times when it was Gronk and Hernandez? That's all I'm going to say. Just going to shake my head. That was nasty. So that's all I'm going to say. But all right, guys, it's time to get out of here, man. It's time to go. I've gone 6 minutes over. Going to remind you guys to do a couple things. Well, 3 things in particular. Right there. Subscribe. Cut on the notifications, man. Ring that bell. Hit the like button. You guys should be able to hit the like button. There's 66 live viewers right now. I should have, let's be modest, 60 likes. Maybe there's 6 people that don't like it. That's cool. But outside of that, guys, again, if you care to donate during the show, you have to do it during the show. If you want to do it on YouTube, there's a $sign in the bottom left or right corner. I can't remember which, but you guys see it. Click on that, and you'll be able to safely donate that way. If not, if you prefer Cash App and PayPal, I have that information available in the description as well. I thank you in advance, and thank you for all of you guys who have done that, outside of the show and outside of YouTube. But outside of that, man, I'm going to remind you guys each and every week until this thing is over. Be safe. Be very, very safe, guys. Please be safe out there, man. I told you guys last week that I had, a cousin and her husband that both contracted the virus, and unfortunately, man, I found out just this past Thursday that her husband had to be, admitted, to the hospital. So, and I think he's still there. So it's real, man. It's real out there. And also, guys, really quick, man, I meant to say it earlier, but my cousin Floyd that you guys hear me talk about a lot, man. We had a death in the family. So if you could say, prayers for Floyd and my family, but mainly his family. His grandma passed away, man. Big Ma, as we called her. And it hurt, because she was like an extended grandma. Even though we're cousins, we didn't have the same grandma because we're not cousins to that degree. Is his grandma and my grandma are cousins, and that's how it trickles down to us. But the funny story about it is we all have extended family, right? You have your first, second, and third cousins, and then y'all know you got cousins that's like your 7th cousin or whatever. We grew up as if we were first cousins. Him and my brother are best friends because they're the same age, and I'm younger than them, but he's like another brother, so as far as how far down the bloodline it go, it doesn't matter. We all even lived in the same neighborhood when I grew up. It was, him, his big mom, and his mother, and then my mom and dad and my brother. And it had a tough week. Had a tough week hearing about my cousin's husband, and then to find out that Big Ma had passed away. She was 90 years old, man. So she lived a blessed life, but it's still hard. It's still hard. It don't matter how old someone is or isn't. It's still tough when that's it. You're not gonna get to see them anymore, and it's even tougher for me because I don't live there anymore. They're still in Virginia. They're in Richmond. I'm all the way in Pennsylvania, so tough. So if I don't know if Floyd was in here, man, but if he was, or if he is, I'm sure he sees this. So thank you guys for sending out condolences to him. I'm always, let me say this real quick too. I know everyone that doesn't always have the same religious beliefs, but I'm gonna always say what I believe. So don't take it offensive, guys, if you hear me say send a prayer or, thank you God and all of that. That's just, that's just how I rock, so I'm unapologetic about that. You know what I mean? So again, if you don't mind shooting some condolences his way, we definitely appreciate that. But outside of that, man, you guys be safe. Take care of yourselves. Kenyon, I'll be talking to you in the chat, as well as my brother Tony. And love you guys, man. We'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, stay blessed, and thank you for tuning in to Turbo Towel Tuesday. Peace.